Today, we talked to a seller with a very crazy and actually pretty emotional backstory of how she got into e-commerce. But fast forward, she's already had an exit of a brand for millions of dollars, and now she's scaling her new brand up without even using PPC. How cool is that? Pretty cool, I think. Do you want to see how your listing or maybe competitor's listing rates as to best practices for listing optimization? Or maybe you want to compare a group of ASINs or Amazon products to see how they compare to each other. Maybe you want to see within seconds the top keywords for a single listing or a group of listings. You can do that and more with the Helium 10 tool Listing Analyzer. For more information, go to h10.me/listing analyzer. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Serious Sellers Podcast by Helium 10. I am your host, Bradley Sutton, and this is the show that's a completely BS-free, unscripted, and unrehearsed organic conversation about serious strategies for serious sellers of any level in the e-commerce world. So we have, that was the first time you guys got to see the outside of the podcast room. Like maybe you guys thought I was in the Helium 10 office. This is actually my house here where I built a room for the podcast. And so we've got a guest here on the show for the first time. Lori, how's it going?
Great. How are you, Bradley?
I'm doing just ducky. Thank you. Now, this is a funny story about I recently had a episode where I mentioned how I found the people was just random, hey, I'm going to pick the top 2 people who come in my LinkedIn feed for the guests. And it just happened to be 2 people I actually know them, but they had never been on the podcast. And so that one worked out pretty well. And it's actually, our story starts kind of on LinkedIn. I wasn't connected to you before. You're somewhat of a polarizing figure, let's just say, on LinkedIn. We'll talk a little bit about that. But it was so funny how we first started. I think you might have sent me a message a long time ago. You had said you had seen Helium 10, but I didn't see the message. But then I did we are connected somehow. And then you were in my feed. And then I remember you made some posts where you have very similar views as me as far as the nonsense that we see on LinkedIn. We can probably talk about that a little bit later. But you were doing this sarcastic post, kind of making fun of these fake people out there. And I was totally digging it. And so I was all right, I'm going to keep this sarcasm going, and let me just make a random reply, to show her I appreciate the sarcasm. And then you replied to me all bent out of shape and offended. I'm what is going on here? I'm was I not keeping the tone of your post? But you DM me and all upset at me, and I'm what is happening? You remember that? How that started?
Bradley,
I'm calling you out. Hey,
good, not bad. Why did I agree to do this? Oh my goodness. Yes, I got it backwards. I didn't realize you were being sarcastic, and I was what is this guy talking about?
Well, we worked it out, and it worked out for the better because now
you're on my side.
we connected, and now I found out that you do actually have an interesting story and stuff. And so that's what I usually do with the guests, especially the ones I'm meeting for the first time. Is I know almost nothing about your backstory other than you use Helium 10. I think that was what your message was. But first of all, where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? Well, where are you right now? What part of the country?
I am in New York City.
Is that where you were born and raised? You don't sound like it. Your accent is not very strong.
Get me around my friends from Queens that I grew up with, and it's forget about it. What are you doing?
Oh, okay. So then, did you go stay local to go to university or college or anything like that out there?
Yeah, I actually graduated from Queens College, which is the same college Jerry Seinfeld graduated from. And somebody else. There was a couple famous.
What was your major over there?
Major in communications, minor in business. But I mean, to be completely honest with you, if I hadn't gone to college, there would have been no difference. I didn't learn anything.
Sure. That's the same. No difference. What was your gainful employment? Your first,
So I worked in the World Trade Center. I worked for Morgan Stanley Dean Witter. So everybody knows Morgan Stanley, the brokerage, but they were then also Dean Witter. So I was a sales assistant.
Okay.
I worked on the 73rd floor in the second tower. And that was in 2000, that was in 1999.
Okay. That was like the year after I moved away from New York. The last 20 years, how did you get to e-commerce then? That's kind of a jump, from that kind of
Um,
job to e-commerce.
it's a long story that I'll try to make short. I think I did various jobs in corporate America into my mid 20s, and then unfortunately on 9/11, my brother was in the World Trade Center working on the 103rd floor. He was 4 years older than I am, and he died in the attacks. So the story is that the night before he called me and we were talking about our future, and he was talking about his job and how he wasn't thrilled with it, even though he was making really good money, he was working long hours, etc. And he said he wanted to do something more with his life, more entrepreneurial. And the next day he passed away. So that kind of not in that very, it's not as if, the next day I was like, okay, I know I have to be an entrepreneur. But as the years went by and I started to pull myself together, actually, I wanted to do something on my own. My father was in the restaurant business, and I was in a marketing job, and my father became ill, terminally ill. And I was literally taking notes from his deathbed, like how to run a restaurant. And it wasn't something I wanted to do, but that was my first venture into being an entrepreneur. I kind of didn't have a choice. So I did that for about a year. I hated it. I left. I got into salsa dancing, and then opened a salsa dance studio here in Manhattan, which was a total and complete disaster. I had this novel idea that I was going to open a dance studio and just dance all day. Like, not do marketing or anything. People were just going to like show up somehow, and I was going to get to dance salsa all day, every day, and make money, which obviously that didn't turn out to be the case. It was really a big disaster. But what came from that was I was dancing so much during that time in my life that my feet were really dry and dirty because you wear dance shoes and they're open in the back, and so I was always having to pay extra attention to my feet. And I ended up accidentally inventing a foot care product that is like a 2-in-1 soap and pumice stone. And I had no idea how to get it made, but I had been in the direct marketing industry.
What year about are we talking about? Just so I can visualize this
This
timeline.
was like 2007.
Okay. Okay.
So in my corporate career prior, I had worked in direct marketing, which probably a lot of folks listening to this don't even know what that is, but basically used to get offers in your credit card billing statements, what they would call like trinkets and trash, like a thank you gift for $2.99, just send this voucher back in. And so I called my old boss and I said, I have an idea for this product. I have no idea how to get it made. He directed me to a company who helped me develop it, get it manufactured. I had an infomercial, it bombed. I had another infomercial, it bombed. I had small successes with it in like on Good Morning America.
Did you have anything funny in the infomercial? I'm just picturing a bunch of stinky
Yeah.
feet. Like, like what? Why did it bomb? Or like, what did you have in there? Were you the star of your own infomercial? Like, did you put yourself?
No way. I don't even do podcasts hardly. Forget about being in a commercial that's national. I can still hear it. Do you still have dry, cracked feet? And I can see it. Anyway, so that was a disaster. And I realized, I had lost a lot of money, and I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to shelve this. And I went back to corporate America. And this is like in 2000, this happened in 2009. And so I sat around, I went into another marketing job, knowing like I still wanted to be an entrepreneur. I wanted to do it like both for me and for my brother. But I didn't know, again, how to get this product off the ground because I wasn't a marketing major. I had no idea how to bring something to market. And then, like so many people, one day I was at work looking at Facebook, and I saw somebody write something about selling stuff on Amazon. This was in 2014.
Okay.
This is 6 years of failures later with this product. And as I said, this looks interesting. So I started, like everybody else, going to TJ Maxx and all the discount stores and scanning and, buying at a discount and sending stuff in. And after a while, I learned how to use the platform, and I realized, hey, I have a product that I invented. Let me give it a try on Amazon. And I listed it in 3 weeks. It became a top 10 bestseller. And I built a private label brand around it, all sorts of foot care products. And I exited in 2020. So it took me 12 years to become an overnight success.
6-figure exit, 7-figure exit?
7.
Roughly? All right. Nice. And then since then, you're back on, starting new brands on Amazon, or just being a consultant, or what do you do?
So now I'm in the pet category. I had taken a year off after my exit, and I didn't know what I was going to do with my life again. And then I was like, I really miss Seller Central because they're so efficient.
Says no one ever in the history of mankind. Yeah.
Yeah. And I saw an opportunity in the pet category, and I have a dog and I love animals. And I thought this would be so much more
How did you find the opportunity?
Well, it was something that I needed. And that's how I came up with my last product. So I thought if I need it, probably I didn't invent it, but I took something and I changed it and I made it better. And so I thought, why not, try it again? And I had like a very soft launch in April, and then I really launched again in November. And, it's been going great. Thank goodness. Amazon is a completely different game in 2023 than it was in 2014. But,
it's different than even when you exited, 2020. What's been biggest culture shock or differences from obviously there's a million things that are different between 2014, but thinking about the later years right before your exit, 2019, 2020, what are some of the biggest differences that have affected how you're, running your business today compared to then?
Well, the single biggest difference, and it's actually something I'm becoming more and more passionate about, and probably really what's like the real stuff I talk about on LinkedIn, which is, really Amazon based, except for that one post, is for me, I built my last brand off of PPC and nothing else. Mm-hmm. And with this brand, I'm not even using PPC and doing really well. And so I know a lot of people are, a lot of PPC managers aren't going to love this, but I've been talking about it a lot, how much Amazon has changed, how I feel. I mean, if you don't have any other strategy, you can, do PPC and pour all your money into it.
So you say you never use PPC for this pet brand, or you did and just stopped, or what?
I did for a little while, but it wasn't, the conversion rate wasn't where I needed it to be. And I felt that I could take that money and do other methods of advertising and get a better return. I mean,
how did you get to that? Wouldn't you say that probably played a role though, to get your initial, keyword ranking, obviously, compared to the days where you were around, I'm not sure if you ever use those services, but in those days, you could, there's nothing wrong with 2-step URLs and search, find, buy, and stuff like that. You could get to any key page one that you wanted to within 5 days, But now, if you didn't have PPC when you started, how would you have gotten to page one on your main keywords?
When I first started, I did do some, say, light PPC.
So then that would help get the initial momentum and stuff. But then you're saying hey, after you're there, you've actually found success dialing back. And then where have you taken that advertising spend? You said you're investing it in other kinds of advertising. What are some of those other things?
The advertising spend is by spending money on a publicist, but not on the kind of publicist that you would think of where I'm spending $10,000 a month to hire a PR agency. So I started out with, so the reason why my last business ended up growing as much as it did, because the real growth was in like the last 2 years of the business. And that was because my products started coming out in what are called in the publishing industry as roundups. So you've probably seen them, and they're articles online that have headlines like the 20 coolest gadgets on Amazon, or the
Mm-hmm.
46, cheapest things for your home that look great on Amazon. So, these publishers that are like Bustle, BuzzFeed, um, Bustle Digital Group is a lifestyle publication. They have 100 million subscribers or readers. And they kept picking up my product, and it kind of just snowballed from there, because I think a lot of the writers see what other people are writing, and they're also looking at what's getting good reviews on Amazon. They want to see what the popular things are so they can easily go on Amazon to different categories and figure that out, just like we all can. And so for this brand, I knew that was going to be my strategy. I was going to rely heavily on getting into those publications. So I started off, I hit the ground running with reaching out to editors while I was doing my initial PPC to, become discoverable. And then, it got picked up in like 2 or 3 or 4 different roundups, and it just has taken on a life of its own. So, and that I don't even pay for. So now what I've done, because it is a lot of work to find the right people to reach out to send them the email, to follow up with them, to send them a sample if they want one. It's a lot of, it's a grind. So I have taken this money that I would have put into PPC, well, not even, just like a fraction of it actually, and I pay somebody to send out these emails and follow up with these editors. And for me, I mean, the return, the ROI is exponentially better.
How would somebody find that person? Or how did you find it? Or like, maybe, I don't know if you had contacts or.
No, it's not hard. You just have to be a little resourceful. You have to research a little bit and look for these articles that are in your category, or that where they write about your category. I mean, even if you're selling car parts, I mean, it doesn't work for every single category. But for example, if you're selling something car related, whether it's car wax or, car, they're called schmatas. I can't think of the English word right now. Rags. Oh my God. English is my first language too, but it's a Hebrew word. There are car publications. What's like the main one? The mechanics something. I don't know. I haven't even driven a car in like 20 years. They, I'm sure, have even their own roundups like this. And all the publications do. Why? Because they're acting like as an Amazon associate. So they're getting paid every time somebody buys a product through their website, through the affiliate link.
But so are you the one who's looking for these, or you said like your agent or like the person who's trying to contact them, you tell them what to look for, or it's a combination of both?
So it's a combination of both. So the girl that, the woman that I've been working with is in PR, and she, has been she has a list of, her own, I wouldn't say there are contacts where she can call them up and be like, hey, it's Samantha. Could you do me a favor and throw this in there? Like, no, she, has a list of people in the industry. She reaches out. She's got to follow up. It's not like she has 400 BFFs that are writing, in these articles. But back to how somebody else could do it without using a PR person, which is how I, started doing this, is so auto mechanic, whatever it is, you go to their website, you look all over their website for any kind of article that is like that, like the 10 best car waxes to shine your car. And the editor's name is always in the article. The editor gets credit for their
Mhm.
article. So you find the editor's name and, you try and track them down. You can track them down through LinkedIn. You can get a guy on Fiverr or a girl on Fiverr who has access to, these databases. I forget the name, but they're the Cision. I don't know how to say it. That a lot of companies use. They're very expensive. There's thousands of dollars to buy, but these Fiverr people, that's how they make their living, is by getting contacts for people.
Did you find your person from Fiverr, or?
I found my PR person on Upwork.
All right, very interesting. This is and so like now, now that it's part of your I don't know what I would call it, routine or part of your SOP, like what would you say going forward for the rest of the year? What are you budgeting for that aspect of your promotion? I guess you could say, is this, based on what you would pay her and other costs involved? Is this something like, hey, I'm setting aside $3,000 a month for this, $1,000 a month?
So literally the only cost involved is the cost that I pay her. And that's her monthly fee. She doesn't get paid on a, incentive basis. It's just like, it's a flat fee. And no matter how much or how little press I get for any given month is, she gets the same amount. And that's it. And that's kind of like what's insane. My last brand, I would spend $20,000, $40,000, $30,000 a month on PPC. And now I'm spending, not that much. And I'm ranking on the first page for my keywords. I'm, sustaining my BSR. And I'm doing, when people read these articles, there's also a lot more trust. Like they feel that it's been reviewed by an editor. So they see it in these articles and they're more likely to buy, I feel. And as we all know, Amazon loves outside traffic. But we have to remember ABC, right? Like always be converting. You can get into these articles, and if it's not converting, you're not going to do well just because you're driving traffic to the platform. So if you have a crappy product, PPC is never going to save you, and neither is anything else.
Now, how many SKUs do you have right now that you're promoting in this way?
So I actually have one product, but I have 7 SKUs. My last brand had maybe
like variations. Then you're saying,
sorry,
okay.
Yes, variations. My last business had 4 products, 10 SKUs in total, and that's the kind of business I like to run. I cannot manage 150,000 SKUs.
Sure.
So my grand master plan really is just to take over this subcategory that I'm in and have one product, with a lot of different variations, because it keeps my life very simple.
Well, the reason I'm asking though is like, since it's only kind of one product, like after a few months, are you going to run out of the potential, like publications you can find, since they're not going to want to talk about the same exact thing again? Or like, how does that even work? Like, do you have to come up with a new product, or is there like every 4 months you can just go ahead to the same places again and they can do something different, or what's going on there?
So here's the thing, is that I'm not even going back to the same people. Like one person writes about it and then 100 other editors see it and they'll write about it in their own column. They'll probably like go check out the listing, see if it's cool, and if they like it, then they'll write about it. So I understand the question that you're asking. Is there will it get tired after a while? I have that problem with my first brand, and I'm not experiencing that now. But there are, but you also have to have a lot of different styles. I think if it was one product going over and over and over and over again, it would tire out. But in that publication, you have to remember there's so many publications with hundreds and millions of subscribers. So as long as you keep working at it and keep reaching out to different publications, the sky is the limit, really.
Are you using like attribution links at all or anything like that to try and get brand referral bonus and stuff?
I would love to, but you can't, because they need to use their link on their end so they can get paid from Amazon.
Oh, duh. Yeah, that makes sense.
What their incentive is. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But I guess though, theoretically, like since that one's more, and they, it's the problem with it is it's a gentleman's agreement there. Like, they have to trust you, but like theoretically, you could offer more than the affiliate commission. Since isn't that only like 2%? But then like you could say, hey, I'll give you like 8% because you're getting 10% back.
I'm not sure what the actual publishers make. I don't know if it's the same percentage as like a person who's just an affiliate. I think they may have some kind of different, something different with Amazon, the big publications. If I reach out to like a smaller publication that's more independent, yeah, I have given them my own attribution links, no doubt. But the bigger ones, and they don't always tell you that they're going to write about it. That's the other thing. So it's a little bit hard to track. I track it because I can see, first of all, I have a Google alert on my keywords. So I can see when it comes out in case they didn't tell me, that it's coming out. And because so many other editors just pick it up randomly, I would never know. You just all of a sudden like wake up one day and you have this windfall of sales and you're like, where the heck did that come from? And that I'm sure that happens to a lot of Amazon sellers. They have no idea where these sales are coming from, and it's probably coming from these roundups. So if whatever you're selling out there, I would highly recommend you create Google alerts for all of your keywords to see.
It's a great tip. I never thought about that.
To see if your products are being listed in these places.
Now, obviously, it's early in 2023, but do you have any projections out, this new brand, what it's going to do for you at the end of the year? Like total, what you're going to end up with gross sales at all?
I mean, I'm hoping to do around 750 in my first year. It took me many years to get to, because, my first brand, it took me many years to build up to that because I was very afraid and I was very much in my own way. And, I was scared to add another SKU. I was more risk averse, then. And now I'm just like, I know this product works and I'm ready to just go,
YOLO. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll be able to grow faster.
One thing I wanted to ask you about is you and I have very, some similar views, some different views, and that's fine. But one thing we're similar about is we complain a lot about the nonsense we see on LinkedIn. But one of them actually it's kind of like an Amazon, strategy thing. But I know one thing that irked you, and I probably saw the same post, is there's like some people are like, don't forget about building a brand on Amazon, if you're a third party seller, because that's useless. Like just, Amazon is just, just churn products out, and building a brand is like I've seen like multiple people do that, and just like it's like nails on a chalkboard for me. That's one of the things you and I agree with, right?
Oh, it gets me crazy. Because, it's so dangerous these days. It's like anybody can call themselves anything they want, guru, life coach, this or that. And, these people have a ton of followers, and it's not that they don't know some things, but gosh, you put out a statement like that, which is so bad and so wrong, and people are going to listen to that. And it's just so bad for people's businesses. I mean, building a brand is more important than ever, not less important. Now it's more important because everything is so commoditized, overly commoditized. So how are you going to stand out? It's just price. You're just going lower and lower and lower and lower in price because you're competing. And then you have to keep coming up with a new product idea and a new product idea just for another race to the bottom. How is that a good business strategy, like in anyone's world? And how do you sell a business like that? So that kind of stuff, like the misinformation or disinformation or whatever you want to call it, that stuff really bothers me because it's like, feel like it's an injustice to,
Yeah, because people see, oh wow, this person has 20,000 followers and they're super popular, so whatever they say, this must be true. Yeah, I feel the same way. It's like so irritating when people who are kind of like known in the industry, say ridiculous things that could potentially harm, people, in my opinion. What are some of your other LinkedIn pet peeves, whether it's about Amazon or not?
Oh gosh, the whole the whole title of Amazon Ninja expert. So I added into my title, it's there now, professional pole vaulter, because it's just so ridiculous. I'm
checking out what my profile is. Let me make sure I'm not saying. Yeah, I just have my title in there. But yeah. Like anybody who sends me a friend request and they have like expert in their header, like I'm just like, nah,
no,
like
definitely
don't be a self-proclaimed
decline.
expert.
You know, I think I used expert in like 2015 for like 5 minutes, and then I realized like, okay, this is not what I want to associate myself with. So all this silly like, you know, titles that people give themselves because everybody can be. Oh, yeah. Another thing is I manage $18 billion, you know, for clients, and like that's part of their title. Like,
yeah.
I mean, my dog could write that about himself. There's no verification. And, you know, they know people are just going to like believe them.
It's so weird. LinkedIn is like its own. It's like its own. It's so different than any other social media. It's like we could have probably done a whole episode. That'll be your next episode when you come back next year about the pet peeves on LinkedIn, because like there's just a bunch of stuff that irks me. So much misinformation out there, and just people looking to make a name for themselves. And then at the end of the day, the reason why it sucks is, first of all, just some stuff is just annoying, you know. But then the second thing is just that it's like, what really. But this is how I got my career. How I got on the radar of Helium 10 was I would just go off on people in Facebook groups. Those were the thing back in the day, where people are putting misinformation, where I would just like start arguing with them nonstop and like, come on guys, like stop putting out misinformation. So guys, if you're putting out misinformation on LinkedIn or just being annoying, you know, the LinkedIn police, aka me and Lori, are going to come after you. So, you know, look out. Anyways, back to before we close this episode, I usually do something where we have the 60-second tip. So maybe if you can, 30 to 60-second tips, if you have one or two of them, what worked for you before, something you're preparing, like, are you preparing your business for exit? Like something you're doing, or another strategy. You know, you talked about some pretty cool strategies about press and stuff that we haven't talked about too much on this show. So that was cool. But what are some maybe faster strategies you can share with the audience about what you're doing right now?
Faster, I don't have. Faster is PPC, but it's it's not as profitable.
Faster, I mean faster as in it doesn't take you like 10 minutes to say it. Faster, not that it's a fast to do.
Sorry, build out your socials. It takes a long time to get an audience, but build out your socials and build a brand.
Which ones should people focus on?
I think it's product dependent. I mean, TikTok skews younger, but I'm still using it. It's not exactly my demographic, but if I'm posting on Instagram, it doesn't hurt. I can just take the same thing and post it on TikTok. It takes 2 seconds. So I would really focus on doing that. And then I would also focus on Google Ads. Like, again, PPC is advertising. It's advertising. So there's other forms of advertising. Don't just use PPC. Use all the forms that are available to you.
All right. Anything else for us?
Make sure you have a good lawyer when you exit, and somebody who is on your side. I got very lucky. I almost got very screwed on my exit, and enter stage.
They caught something that you had missed, or what?
No, I had missed. Like, I didn't understand my numbers well enough, and I got a lowball offer, and then this lawyer, am I allowed to say? I don't know. His name is Paul Raffleson of Seller Basics, found his way into my Facebook. He didn't slide into my DMs, but he reached out, and oh my God, he turned it around for me. He literally got me $1 million more than the offer had received, because the first offer was a lowball.
$1 million more?
$1 million more, because
So
he understood my numbers, and he understood my numbers better than I did. And he was just phenomenal, and I praise him all the time. And his company, Seller Basics, that's another tip. Like, you have to have prevention for you're not getting suspended and Prop 65 and all these things. You want to prevent bad things from happening to your business. So I use Seller Basics, where it's like, I don't know, $100 a month or something, and they like fix your problems for you.
Yeah, for all of you guys who are Helium 10 Diamond members and above, we have that newer course that Northbound did with us called Exit Ticket. So make sure to check that out, guys, because it's not something that you should just completely jump in with a blindfold on. Put your ducks in a row, because it could mean $1 million more on your payday. Like it was for Lori. All right. Well, if people want to find you out there on the interwebs at all, and watch some of your interesting takes that you put in LinkedIn and stuff, how can people find you out there?
Just look up my name on LinkedIn. That's all. That's where I am. Lori Barzvi, Barzvi.
Awesome.
Let good times roll.
All right. Well, Lori, let's connect next year and talk about the things that annoy us on LinkedIn, and talk about how the pet brand is going in your press, and all this great stuff. It'd be great to have you back.